Hi, Glenn. Hi, Nadine. Hi, Danielle, Heather, Samantha, Elaine, Gary, Trevor. Hey, Trevor. So you just signed up for January. Hi, Neil. Hi, Hannah. Hi, David. Well, we're just coming off of an amazing weekend. Bunch of you guys were there. We did Cinesomatic exploration, and this is our one of our core workshops. It's a 2-day weekend workshop doing Cinesomatics. And it was amazing. I think. Uh, who would like to share about their experience? Because there's um, a lot in just sharing and what you've learned, what you got from it. It's a bit of the hero's journey. So the hero's journey. Well, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but near the end, right? It goes on this whole. He goes on this whole adventure, and he goes in the underworld, and then comes out the other side with an elixir back to the village. And so this is an important part of the work is bringing the elixir, bringing the wisdom, the treasure, the whatever it is, back to the village. It's a process of integration of your journey and that elixir inside of yourself that then gets transmuted and brought back into the world. So, who wants to share any of their elixirs from this weekend's workshop?
I'll share. Danielle, Heather, Elaine, Hannah. I feel like so much closer to each one of you now. Um, this, I mean, I've written stuff in the group and mentioned some of this to Andrew, but it was so transformative for me. Like this whole weekend, it meant so much to me. Um, just hearing everyone's struggles and just really connecting, with each of you. Um, and I just have so much love for all of you. And um,
What did you learn, Neil? What did you
oh, yeah, I mean, it honestly felt like breakthrough after breakthrough. I guess it started off with me confronting my terror, which I have a lot of in me. I can still feel some of it now. Although through the workshop, it also helped me to connect into my power that I feel I'd lost, at some point along the way, and also helped me to um, confront some anger, rage that I had inside of me towards my parents, and which then unleashed like a protective energy um, in me that's just been rising. And since the weekend, I've just, been having all kinds of dreams and other things have been coming out of me. I've been feeling my playfulness that I've kind of suppressed so much over the past few years, just rising out of me, and it just feels really good. I feel so much more centered, feel my power coming back to me. And
What about your voice?
I mean, I don't know if people can hear it, but it's
You got some head nods.
you guys can hear it. Oh, that makes me happy to hear that because it feels so different to me. Like I feel like a different person when I'm talking now. I feel like feel like a part of myself that I'd lost a long time ago, years ago, and it feels feels really nice to have this power return to me, and
What
this
did you have
power.
to, yeah, what did you have to face in order to regain that power?
I don't know if I can point to any one thing. I feel all of it just helped in a whole sequence over the course of the weekend. Sure, like my personal breakthroughs, you know, um, dealing with my terror, dealing with my feelings of not being good enough, and dealing with my anger issues and towards my parents and sadness. But then something I didn't expect as well is just listening to everyone else share their stories and connecting with each one of them was very transformative for me. Like, I felt shifts in me just hearing their stories and crying as I heard their stories and all the pain they go through. And that then helped me to also connect, with those elements in myself. Like, so many of their struggles are the same struggles that I have as well. And so many of so much of the pain that they have is and history is also part of my history too, and that was healing. So all of that contributed to it. Yeah, it was amazing.
I love your voice, Neil. Sounds great.
Thank you, Elaine. It feels so good.
I'm working on my voice, but it's it's not or maybe I just haven't put the energy towards it, but I find it very hard to be direct when I
Yeah,
talk. So I almost wear out my voice when I try it. But I'll
Yeah,
keep on.
you're probably forcing it. You're probably pushing it.
Oh.
Yeah. You can be direct. Hello, I'm direct. Hello, I am direct. Right? That's two very
Yeah, maybe yeah, I maybe that's what I'm doing.
could
is-
be.
Yes.
well, it's already transformed so much, Elaine. Like someone had mentioned something in the previous group call about how you were like in like the older group calls, and so I went back to like some of the earliest group calls, like the replays, and watching it, and I can already see transformation in you.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah, yeah.
I can definitely see more lightness around you too. It's so beautiful to see that.
Thank
I
you.
That was one thing in the over the weekend that I really enjoyed was as people had breakthroughs, it was like the air was clear and crystally and it something was just gone and it was just incredible to witness that. I would kept looking at him like, wow, is that really, can I really see
Can
that? And
anybody
I
else
did.
see this? Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
there's a light in Neil's eyes that I've never seen. Like, it's beautiful. You are glowing, and there's just like an openness to you. I feel connected, like so connected to you. It's so cool to see.
Thank you, Danielle. Makes me so happy to hear that.
So,
just so incredible.
how about your experience, Elaine? Now that you spoke
Um,
up.
yes, I loved all of the light. I loved seeing in the body everyone else's, really looking at it and being like, oh my gosh, I see that in their body. And it really reinforced everything. And I think makes it easier for me to then accept things in my own body that I may not want to see, but gosh, it was so true with everyone else, so why not with me, you know? So that was really helpful, and I enjoyed learning that I could spot things before they were said. Like I would see this, and then Andrew would say it, and I'd be like, "Wow, okay, I can see things in the body," and that was marvelous for me. Um, I there were so as Neil was saying, everyone getting feedback and then people giving feedback on that. It was so dynamic that it just I don't think I've totally soaked it all in yet. So it was so perfect. Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome. What were some of the breakthroughs that you had?
Um, I have resisted wanting to look at my parents and betray them, dislike them, hate them. And so I went into that and it was really good. I think it's starting to crack this really hard shell. And it was and then to have everyone witnessing me going into that, it was powerful in a new way that I think I'll definitely be able to go further now from that.
Anything
I
else?
didn't feel that I completely penetrated it, but I felt like I broke it open. That's what I felt. I know some of you guys, I felt like you really penetrated stuff, and that's when the light shone around you. I think that's all.
Okay. Everybody's being so modest.
I'll follow that with it was incredibly powerful to be witnessed in the experience. Um, just in a way that I can't even explain. So it's two part of the understanding of the feeling that maybe I was suppressing or not letting myself feel, but then also letting myself be seen and feeling it. Um, and then the group just held such an incredible, loving space for it. It was just, I've not really experienced anything like it. It was it was really cool. Really, really cool.
What did you learn? Man, you guys are really making me fishing out of you guys.
Oh, I learned so much. So so one piece that was really cool was I also went into some anger towards my mother. Um and I think Andrew had me kind of do the movement of hurting someone, I think is what it was. And so I just started punching
Do you want to say
and
why? So
huh?
they have a context, so they don't think I'm asking you to just
Oh.
randomly hurt people for fun.
Um, why did you call
Jesus.
it
You guys are
that?
funny.
There was a reason. Um,
Maybe
what
because you were afraid of it and you've been avoiding anything remotely close
Oh,
to
okay.
hurting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Even to like with withholding feedback from people or because I didn't want to hurt them. I think it was along those lines. So he had me go into the movement of hurting someone and I was punching. Um, and he noticed that I was punching only to the right, and then he had me turn to my left. And as soon as I turned to my left, my feminine side, and started punching, it was like I was punching at my mother. And it was like I couldn't do it. Like I broke down, and it felt like punching a puppy. Like it was like there was no defending myself. It felt like I couldn't possibly hurt my mother at any cost. And then and then through that, there was a lot of things that happened, but then through that discovered this manipulation that my mother has been doing to play this like kind of really innocent, like, who, me? Why would you think that I could never? This sort of energy to keep herself from being called out. Um, and then I realized then I had been running that energy too. Um, and so that was a huge realization, and just through that movement and just turning from the right to the left, all of a sudden all of that broke open.
Can you share what that has to do with feeling like hurting somebody?
Um,
How that's connected? Because there's some people that are thinking, what is hurting some people? Why go into this feeling of hurting somebody? That sounds very scary and mean and
okay,
wrong.
sure.
Yeah.
Because I had been avoiding confronting my mom about some things, and her behavior and ways that she had showed up or not showed up for our family. Um, my family moved when I was 12, and after that, my mom just started kind of sliding into depression and started checking out. Um, and I had always, and then every one in the family started just kind of catering to that and trying to cheer her up and making everything about her. Um, and I bought into that too, and felt like I needed to take care of my mom and help her. She's going through a hard time, but it's been 20 years of a hard time, and was so sold on that story, um, that I couldn't bring myself to confront her about it and just get myself to ask, Mom, where did you go? What happened? Um, and there was a fear of doing that because of how fragile she has seemed. That so the fear being if I did say something, it would be too hurtful for her. So that's why I was
And she,
avoiding.
and she's literally told you that. She's literally said, I don't want to hear anything
Yeah. Yeah.
because it'll
She
hurt.
said that to me. Yeah. As I started doing this work, she's like, I don't want to hear anything that you see or think about. I'm like, okay.
So, yeah, that entire complex of her running this masterful narcissistic manipulation, and getting the whole family bought into it under the guise of being nice, of being good, of being the good daughter, for decades. And one of the things that you also experienced, I'm just going to fill in some blanks here to form the full picture, is not only did you want to ask her what happened, you were angry, you were upset.
Yeah.
And that's a really important piece because we are often afraid of feeling that anger. We're very often told that feeling angry and being mad or hurting people, right, is bad. And we shouldn't do that, especially we start learning spirituality, right? And how to become a better person, all this stuff. The thing isn't about actually hurting people. The thing is that when we are reverse wired, when we have distortions, when we are ran by being a good boy, a good girl, and when that's put above the truth, um, we start having willful blindness. We start being in denial. We start suppressing ourselves. Say, oh, I can't hurt my mom. Oh, well, telling her the truth is going to hurt her. Can't do that. And then what happens is we hold others back. So it's not that we actually want to go and hurt people. It's that our definitions, our somatic or psychological ideas and definitions of hurting or being bad are often distorted. And so we have to be willing to emotionally, somatically go there. So the instructions weren't to actually hurt anybody. The instructions were in the cinesomatic movement practice, in a sort of role play, let yourself go there physically, emotionally, mentally, and energetically. And so what that does, it forces you to face all of the things that you've been avoiding facing a lot of your life. Because if you hurt your mother, you're a bad person, you're a bad girl, you're all of these things. And the ego creates these protection mechanisms like that in order to keep us safe. So, in this process, we do shadow work. And this is an example of shadow work, where we look at an aspect of ourselves that we think is the shadow, right? Hurting people. And what happens is that that then becomes a defense against the truth. And the truth is love. And so what happens is we have this multi-layered egoic configuration that is protecting us against the truth. Because the ego is identified with the stories and the ego identities. And the truth is going to annihilate and invalidate the stories of our suffering and our narcissistic images and our personas and our masks. And so what often happens is that we feel threatened, right? Your mom felt threatened. You felt threatened because you were running the same stuff in this work, right? You didn't want to hear the truth because you felt like it was hurting you. And so your finally willingness to go into the hurt. I think I said you'd rather hurt than hurt. This was a fantastic line that sort of emerged of you'd rather hurt than hurt. And that has many, many dimensions to it, right? You'd rather hurt than hurt. Or you'd rather hurt than hurt, right? Or you'd rather hurt than hurt. And the only way through any of this is surrendering and going into it, is facing it and feeling it. And Joseph Campbell calls it the fear you cave to enter. Nope, wait a minute. The cave you fear to enter. Glitch in the matrix. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Right? And so going into being a bad person, going into hurting people, that doesn't sound fun. It sounds like we shouldn't do that. But what happens when that's a guise, when that's a mirage, when that's used as a righteousness, right? You see people like virtue signaling, these sort of things. The ego is sort of virtue signaling with, I'm a good person, I won't ever hurt anybody. Well, if that's conflated with telling the truth and love and courage, right, then we got some real problems. So what happens is that when we have the courage to go into the shadow and face it and really feel it, let ourselves go there in the right container, right? This isn't about acting this out in the world. This isn't about doing this to any person, right? In the real world, this is in the right container with the right intention, going into the shadow, going into these part of ourselves that we're terrified to go into, to even look at. And so when we do that, as Joseph Campbell says, we find the treasure we seek. And it was amazing to watch Hannah um, punch. You know, she looked like a professional boxer or UFC fighter, and she's very much not. um, she's been running this. Oh, sweet, I can't hurt any. I'm so. Oh, don't hurt me. Right, the very thing that she through Cinesomatics confronted her mom about and realized her mom was doing. She simultaneously saw. I know. She said, "I know you're doing that because I do it myself." And that's when, I mean, just 2 years of this work just finally fell into place because she's been fighting it, resisting it, and running the same stories and myths as her mom. So when she was finally able to go into the hurt, aka stand up for herself, get her power back, take responsibility, hold her mother accountable, tell the truth, which to both of them felt like bad, hurt. What actually happened was an enormous amount of self-love and breakthrough and wisdom and lessons and power.
And you helped me tap into a part of myself, Hannah, that I didn't know existed. Like, you moved along and you launched me along. And it was so beautiful to witness you, because all the paradigms that you'd made, like, literally just collapsed. And to see you in that and to see you open was so beautiful, because I'm literally your biggest cheerleader. um, can I follow on from here?
Yes. Yeah.
That was such an incredible experience. I'm still integrating it. The next morning, I felt as if, I don't know, those of you who've had babies, this feeling of giving birth, um, when your babies have come out of you and there's this void in you, there's this openness and this rawness, but then you have these beautiful babies, but it's vulnerable and it's raw, and you feel changed forever. Yeah, Hannah had her breakthrough and it just triggered something in me. And I've been dealing with my mother, and I love her, of course, but stuff came out of me that I don't think I've remembered since I was a little girl. And in that moment, and Andrew's such an incredible mentor and a guide, because he's like, Danielle, what's going on, you know? And then all of a sudden, it just came out of me. And it's so incredible because it's given me compassion that I haven't had before, because I was suppressing anger and hatred for what had happened to me. And I was so afraid to go there because I thought it would make me bad. I thought it would make me evil. And this beautiful container of these wonderful humans holding space for me, it was just incredibly transformative, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. And also to witness other people break through and embody what they were feeling shifted things in me and helped me to see things in me that I didn't know was there, that weren't there before. I didn't know that they were there. And then I'm like, that's me too. So it's so layered. I've done one-on-one archetype stuff with Daniel, but this group work, it's just like the next level. And yeah, I still have to integrate it all, but it's coming, and I'm like opening and opening and opening, and never again will I shut off, because we think that sometimes honesty, we use euphemisms, right? And we skirt around the truth and we think we're helping people, but we're not. We are not. And I think that's why it's so powerful to align to the truth, because the truth is love. But sometimes it doesn't sound like rainbows and unicorns. So yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Heather, want to share anything? Can
Space.
say it again? We couldn't hear you.
Can we just look at Neil's face? Oh my God, Neil. Look at your face. Oh, like, look at that smile. It's just incredible. Incredible. Okay, so to share, up until the day before the weekend, when anybody, or any of you, including Andrew, would have talked about bullies in their life, I could have sat here and said, "Well, I've never had that experience. I've, I've never been bullied." And then, and then I had the experience that came out of doing the movement. And the realization was I have had bullies from 30 years ago controlling my life for the last 30 years. Um, wow, right? Like have that wake you up. It was incredible. I will echo everything else everybody has said about the weekend. It was just unbelievable. And I will say, as Danielle, I'm still processing. And it wasn't like, even to today, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Like I know this is still something still occurring. I have felt sick to my stomach since the weekend. Um, I work has changed. I don't know how something can change so quickly,
I
but
do.
holy shit, right? Like just I haven't been angry, and similar things have been playing out at work. So it's not that work has changed. My reaction to those dramas, I will just call them. Um, yeah, they're just not poking at me like they did before. And the other interesting thing is I I really like to ride my bike. And when I think since the weekend, and it's Thursday now, and it's a big deal that I haven't ridden my bike since the weekend. When I think about getting on my bike, I feel sick to my stomach, which you might think is, oh, that's horrible, Heather. But I've realized that I need to clean some stuff up in my life before I can get back on my bike. It's almost like I think about my bike and I think, oh, I should be riding my bike, right? Because there's some shoulds for me there. And I almost start crying. Like that I have an emotional response to the, oh, I should be riding my bike. And and it's, you might think that cleaning up is emotional, but it's coming out physically. Um, my choice in foods. I cleaned off my art desk because you couldn't do art on it. It just became a place to hold a bunch of shit. So today it got cleaned. I cleaned the basement. Um, my vestibule is full of stuff that's going to the Goodwill. And I have so much art in my house, and I organized it, and some of it I'm giving away. Because I just don't, it's here because it's here, and there's no feeling that goes with it, so it needs to go to somebody who has feeling towards it. Yeah, so Andrew, as above, so below, right? Like there's the cleaning's happening, cleansing, cleaning is happening at so many different levels. And I know when I get back on my bike, I'm going to be doing it because it's joy and not because I feel I have to or I should ride my bike.
Yeah, there's a certain identity, um, and it almost feels like you need to, not you need to, but letting yourself to be more than a biker. It's almost you shed that identity so you can actually just ride your bike.
Yeah.
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 Thank you for sharing.
Thank you all.
So, anybody want to reflect back to any of these beautiful souls? What they've heard, what you're seeing since you've known them over the months,
I
what you're
will.
learning?
I just cannot believe how radiant and beautiful everybody's, like bright and shiny. I mean, the transformation is so incredible. I just can't stop smiling. I mean, everybody's face, everybody's light is like, and Neil, it was beautiful. Everyone, everyone, Hannah, Danielle, Heather, all of you. I mean, I didn't even do it. And I just feel your energy and how incredible you all are. And wow, it's really amazing to see you like this. And I'm so happy for you all. So that's what I see. I mean, it's like it's really a transformation, not just a little bit. I don't think I've ever seen like the before call and the after call so profound in my life ever with a group of people. So I'm so happy for you all. It's really beautiful to see. Thank you.
That's just a 2-day workshop. Imagine a 10-day retreat, 6-month program. Yeah. Who else? David, maybe? Clicking? Yeah.
Well, I could say I could actually like it's affecting me. Like I could feel the impact or just the difference. Um, it's just amazing that it could be transmitted, I guess, through video.
So you can see what's possible for you, David.
In general, I just think like the last few videos have been different for whatever reason. I don't know if it's me, maybe, but just it's at least it's hitting me more. Um, I'm able to kind of connect with people's stories, whatever they're saying. Well, in the past, I just had trouble really getting past my own stuff, I guess.
Anything else?
I'm looking forward to participating in the fellowship thing. think that'll be fun.
Excellent.
David, I can feel a shift in you from the last call. It's really nice to see you smile.
Thank you. It's definitely something that I feel a lot more at peace, but I know there's still a lot more to be done.
How amazing is this going to be? We look back in a year and see you guys through 2 years and all the shifts and transformation. Yeah. 3 years, 5 years, every week for 5 years. Can you imagine? I can. I can show you before and after of me 5 years before this and then 5 years after it. Or 5 years. That's 10 years, but 5 years, yeah. I've shown some of you. You know, I look like a 16-year-old boy. And I was 30. Who else? Meow, 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 meow.
I'm just,
Ollie.
I can't even put it into words. I'm kind of struggling to. Um, what comes to mind for me is this balance aspect of what I'm experiencing with everyone. It's almost like more of you is showing up and it's coming from within, this joy and this light that is coming out. And there's also an element of genuineness that is there, which in the past was there too, but more so now. So it's like more of you is showing up. And I've seen that with everybody that's talked today.
You're next.
Oh, I can't wait. I feel like I'm like, wait for me. um, I'm so motivated. It's like it's almost like the little punching thing and it's being held by the scruff of his neck and it's like trying to just go at it, and it doesn't even know why or how. It's just like, gotta go. That's kind of how I feel right now. I'm like so ready. So
Holly, can you imagine a few calls away, a few calls to go, you're hiding yourself from the camera and look at you here, laughing and smiling, and that's just like 2 or 3 calls away. If you think you can't wait, you're already in it, isn't it? It's wonderful. Just 2 or 3 calls away. I remember that. I was like, what the hell? You unveiled yourself. It's like, whoa, and here you are, acting like you've always been revealed, and you've always been on camera, and you've always been open. So it's wonderful to see too.
it feels a lot better too.
Yeah, it's real freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, Darren. I echo that exactly, Holly. It's so beautiful to see you. I can feel a shift from the last time I saw you on the previous call. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Glenn, Nadine, Samantha, Trevor.
And feel a huge connection to Hannah's story, and it's brought me to tears. It's opened up my idea of the cinesomatics on a deeper level and how it could relate to me and what kind of things I can do to go into my blocks. So thank you so much, Hannah. Um, just with you describing the feminine side and you punching your mum brought up so much in me and my dad as well, actually. And yeah, I can't even explain it. Sorry, guys. It's feeling a bit anxious right now, actually.
Time's all yours. Just give yourself some time to feel.
I didn't realize that it's been a huge part of me not wanting to be a bad person, or that even was my issue. I just thought it's normal to be the way I am. But it's gotten me so stuck. So I know that there's something, and yeah, it's just so powerful that some of the things that can cause these false beliefs that run you.
It's a little bit of when I talk about the spiritual path is failing you. I'm actually surprised more people aren't triggered by that. Maybe they just never talk to me. They just check out when I say that. Um, this is a little bit like that, right? Trying to ascend, trying to be a saint, trying to be a good person, trying to be heavenly and perfect, trying to be, spiritually, you know, whatever. But
Actually, remembering my first embodiment with you, when I said, "Oh, that's the only bit of the book I don't relate to," just that tiny bit. No, like, actually, completely the opposite. That's the thing that's caused every single thing that's happened in the book that I've done.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So food for feeling, everyone. We're not going to say food for thought anymore, food for feeling. Anyone can relate to that.
Yeah, it feels. I'm just gonna give a little baby, little baby, not even feedback, just a little baby reflection of what I'm feeling. Um, it feels like a dam. This thing that you're being a good girl. You can feel it in your voice. Your whole image, your whole persona is this sweet, innocent, and you are really sweet. I mean, you can feel that you're a genuinely sweet person. However, there's this like safety lock, this safety dam, and I could just feel when you open that. I mean, the floodgates of just you're probably going to have a good while of anger and hatred and resentment, and you're if you get to a place momentarily where you just don't recognize yourself, amazing. You're like, I'm not this kind of person. Right. Good. Keep going. Um, because those emotions are in there. That's how you've really felt. It doesn't mean that's who you are, right? We get it mixed up. Oh my God, if I feel hate towards somebody, that means I'm a hateful person. That means I'm a bad person. I don't want to be a bad person. Or even worse, we've gotten angry and we've hurt somebody. And I mean, oh my God, I just hurt somebody. And we just lock it down and just protect ourselves and other people by just completely dissociating from all that stuff. Problem is Legion, but one of them is that it runs us. We actually become dangerous when we can't feel what you're feeling, and we just feel this Powerpuff Girl kind of, bubbly sparkles on top of everything. We can't trust it. Right? We can't trust it because we can't actually feel the truth of what's underneath it. Um, and there's, as you heard from Hannah and Danielle, there's so much power, and Neil too. There's so much power underneath it. And so, the invitation is to feel. Remember, it's not about feeling good. It's about feeling. And so this permission, right? This permission to feel these things that you might think make you a bad person, a bad daughter, a bad mother, um, are going to be the things that actually set you free, right? It's not about acting them out. It's not about taking it out on anybody. It's about going inside and letting yourself feel this and express it and open the doors and start looking in there. Say, you know what? Wow, there's a lot of anger and hatred and resentment and shame and guilt and ooh, there's some ugh, that's really disgusting. Oh my God, that's appalling. I can't believe that's in there. Oh wow. Okay. There's gonna be stuff in there. Um, and the willingness to go in there and face that stuff, kind of full circle, right? Cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. It's not what you think it is. In Dragons and Their Treasures chapter in the book, at the end of every section, I don't know how many people notice this, but I have a little sentence that says, "The shadow is not what you think." Every little section, it's this kind of little kind of cat and mouse game I'm playing with you, right? It's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is the shadow. No, that's not quite it. Oh, dragons. The blow, shadow work, huh? Yeah, it's still not what you think it is. Right? Till the very end. It's like, oh, this hatred, this anger, this badness, this evilness, this disgust, this repulsiveness, this vileness, this rejection, this guilt, this shame, this abandonment, this judgment, this unforgivableness. It's not what you think it is.
Just been on maybe a bit surface level with trying to go into that shadow because I've just seen some very intense things at a young age. And I almost felt responsible for making that not ever happen again because I could just see the pain as a young child. And I needed to feel secure as a child and know that my parents are able to care for me. But the intensity of their emotions actually made me feel like if I do anything, it will kill them. Like, yeah, suicidal, like watching them do things that they shouldn't do to themselves. And oh, sorry, that's just getting really intense. And I've never let myself be angry about that because it's like our conditioning is if somebody's struggling that much, how could you? It's selfish to be angry at them for that. They're trying their best. Like, oh, so many layers
Yeah.
where it all started. And, like young too, like 6, like just not something that 6-year-old is ever able to. I guess I'm still looking at it without realizing from a 6-year-old's mind. And yeah, my whole life they've just gotten away with a lot of things. Like I have spoken up, but yeah, my siblings and we've just tried to go, oh well, like it's okay, no one's perfect, whatever. Like, sorry, I'm not being very clear. I just didn't realize it was running me so much. So thank you, Hannah, for that, for sharing that. Like I knew it was a bit, but not to the extent of how it's shaped every single belief and worth about myself and about the world.
Hannah, you
I'm
can
sure
share.
there's a lot more.
Yeah. Hannah, you can
Yeah.
reflect back to her if you like.
Yeah,
I've been, oh, sorry.
oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I've been doing a lot of my own personal stuff, like going back through the book over after I have had the archetype assessment. And it's been more personal stuff, like what I've done to get to where I am. But that actually penetrated the deeper stuff that I've been wanting to do. And I had a question about the cinesomatic movements. How do we do a move based on something that's stuck in our life? Are we better to go find the deeper meaning of that movement? So say it's a task completion problem. If you were to go deeper into that, figure out the trauma, would you do a movement based on the trauma, like what you're talking about, or would it more be the surface stuff like, yeah, this is my movement for task completion? If you were to penetrate it at that deeper level, wouldn't it actually just solve a lot of those other things? Was
Good
my
question. What tends to happen is that if we do like you said, like task completion, and you have problems with that, well, we would have you do the archetype of that, and within that, we would see what's actually happening. And then that might lead us into something else. So if I saw you doing task completion and like let's say for Elaine, right? For example, her task completion was like a half circle. This wasn't it, but the relationship was by her finding out she never completed a cycle in her movement unrelated to task completion, right? It was something unrelated. She was able through completing circles to start to be able to complete things in her life. For example, this is not one-to-one perfect thing, but it's more of a metaphor here. So you can go at it from either level. You can work on a deeper concept if that's affecting it, or you can start kind of more at the surface level, and it's going to reveal it, right? It would reveal, okay, I'm seeing you do this, but you're just very weak or wimpy or avoidant, or so by doing that, it'll reveal the deeper thing that's going on related to that archetype, and then you can do movement around whatever that reveals. Um, if you have something, so another way to do it. This isn't necessarily instructions. This is stuff you probably have to get facilitated on. But once you kind of get good enough at it, you can explore it yourself. But we, I tend to primarily focus most of the time on what I would call undifferentiated or quintessent archetypes. And these are essentially the quintessent, which is the fundamental archetype of a concept, un uh, undifferentiated, and that is, let's say, giving. Well, there are differentiated archetypes, such as giving to women, giving to men, giving money, giving gifts, giving um, affection, giving um, in a sad way, giving happily, giving resentfully, giving with the intention to um, manipulate, right? So there's ways to yeah, pin down. There's ways to drill down and get more specific with the archetypes, but they become less archetypical and more differentiated. So this is going to answer the question about the underlining thing affecting others. If you can work on the energy of that quintessent archetype, that affects all the other differentiated versions of it, right? So if the undifferentiated archetype is weak, you're going to probably find weakness in many of the variations of it. Sometimes you might not, and then that would actually reveal something very interesting about the relationship between that archetype variant and the quintessent one. So that's a little more theory into the mechanics of it, but
Yeah.
it sort of reveals that you can do both. You can work in either direction. It really doesn't matter, but that's sort of how it works.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's helpful. I got a little
Not
into the
much back
theory of
on
it,
it.
but the helpful answer is do either of them and find out.
Yeah. Both.
Yeah.
I'll find out a lot on both sides, I think. Sorry, Hannah, what were you going to say?
What was I gonna say? Oh, something like that, a similar mythology that you described of like someone going through this experience or suffering like this. Like, I don't, who would be mad at them? You couldn't, like, that I was running that same kind of energy with my mother, and that's what was keeping me blind from seeing how uh how angry and abandoned I actually felt by her. Because I felt it would be wrong to feel that way because I knew that she was struggling. And so I invalidated my own experience.
No. It's like, would you say it's kind of a reverse wiring, or that's just quite natural, but to um, get the trauma, like get control of the trauma and the shadows, we have to purposely reverse wire this and then just be aware of it so we can still be compassionate, however, just not let it run us. Is that kind of where you're getting to now? Because it's quite natural to not get angry at somebody who's like clearly in pain. But I guess the childhood stuff, you need to get angry because that was where you were an actual victim.
Well, I'd be careful for a few things here. I'd be
Yes.
careful with the word natural,
Yes. Okay.
um, because not everybody would feel that way. And natural implies everybody would feel that way. Um, it's not it's like not a bad way to feel. It's not, you're not like completely unreasonable for thinking that,
Mm.
but in the energy of saying, well, it's a normal thing, there, it just feels a little off in there. Um, so I'd be less inclined to compare yourself to the default of others because it's not super helpful. Um, and the second thing is it's more about bypassing. So what happens many times with good people and with people that are spiritual or have become enlightened. These I'm using lots of air quotes here. Hope you understand what that means. Uh, maybe it's a American thing. I don't know, but
No, I get it. We use it too.
okay. So yeah, people like this. The problem is those perspectives of compassion are great, but they come after the healing.
Yeah.
If they come before the healing, it's bypassing all that shadow material, right? So if you say, well, I'm blah, 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 oh, compassion, okay, bink, right, bink, bink. But if you say, oh, oh man, I'm really fucking pissed off. You know what? That really sucks. You know what? You did this. I feel like you did this to me. And you go into it, and it's okay to feel like a victim in there, right? Because we have to face it. If we say, oh, bink, oh, I'm not a victim, bink, don't blame my parents, bink, everyone's doing the best they can, bink.
Mm.
We don't
Me.
actually get in to feel the truth of how we feel. But the truth of
Yeah.
how we feel isn't necessarily the truth of who we are and how we want to be in the world. But it is the truth of how we feel, and we have to honor that. And then as we go into that and we heal that, then on the other side, that compassion is real. It's not a protection mechanism. It's not a um, ego stress strategy. It's not a superiority strategy. It's real compassion. Why is it real compassion then? Because you've gone through it. You know what it's like, right? You have empathy because you've been willing to feel the pain in yourself. So you know what it feels like in others. Not because you've cut it out or blocked it or prevented yourself from ever feeling it, right?
Yeah.
So it's the willingness to go through that. Then on the other side, you say, yeah, all right, they did the best they could. After you've done the healing, not before you have. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I've definitely, my compassion is growing from doing some of the more recent manifestations in my life, things that I've done because of it. But yes, it will be amazing to feel the level of compassion when I go right back to the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about the compassion. We
Yeah,
trust you're compassionate.
yeah, I know, but that's just an example of
Yeah, I know.
it definitely does open your heart, isn't it?
One thing that helped me, Samantha, with looking at my parents was really realizing how much I embodied that they were victims. And I was playing that story that they were victims, but now that I'm learning, they could have chosen something else or helped themselves or done something. So I no longer have to protect them from their victimhood in a way. That was how I looked at it. That and I really realized how much I allowed them in myself to be victims. Um,
And you were able to do that as you've stopped being a victim yourself.
correct.
Yeah. So this is the cool thing. Once we start taking accountability and responsibility for ourselves, we start saying, "Hey, wait a minute, you fuckers!
Yeah,
Wait a minute. Hey,
I
yeah, wait a minute. No, you have to take you need to be accountable, right?" And so that when you start finding people and yourself, when you start becoming more accountable and responsible in yourself and you stop being a victim yourself, you start saying, oh, wait a minute. Well, there's no one else. Well, yeah, everybody else too. And then with that, you also, what happens is you realize how powerful everybody is. You also realize you also have compassion. You say, oh, I know, I get it. I know why you're being a victim. And you're not. So take responsibility, be accountable. Oh, you can't do that yet? Great. I have compassion. I understand. And maybe, you know, don't come here until you can do that. And once you can do it, great. We'd love to have you. But until then, you're going to be you're going to be violent. You're going to take us out. You're going to blame us. You're going to guilt us. You're going to shame us. And then so you start having boundaries. So and then you have boundaries and then you are allowed to express your needs. Then you feel safe. Everything this is me showing everything comes up together, right? A rising tide raises all ships kind of thing. But it's within yourself, right? So when you start feeling more safe, right? Then more boundaries, then more needs, then more responsibility, accountability, and then everything, right, starts developing, starts rising, starts healing. This work is non-linear, it's non-rational, right? So it's it is what it is. And it's beautiful and it's all in the perfect timing. And this part unlocks here, right? The thing from Elaine 3 months ago unlocks it for Neil, which unlocks something, a week later for David, which then allows Holly to do this thing. And then 3 months later, that set in motion a process for Bex, right?
Changes the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that same kind of thing also happens within ourselves and without ourselves. It's almost like as within, does anybody know the rest of that? As within,
So with that,
yeah, great, thanks. I forgot it. It slipped my mind. All right, Nadine, Trevor, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to share?
Just thank you for this space. Just taking in what everyone has shared viscerally, and um, yeah, I feel like I can relate to a lot. And but yeah, just trying to sit with how I'm feeling with it all.
Perfect. Sometimes that's all you need to do.
Mhm. Yeah, with what Hannah shared there. Um, yeah, I just felt some stuff arise for me, and so yeah, just feeling into that. the the visceral sense of yeah, just what I came up to relate with it, I guess, in my own experience. Um, like felt like past times maybe where I'd been frozen or maybe not able to feel certain things that I later woke up to. And yeah, I'm kind of just picking up maybe that's the process of being able to feel deeper. Just
Yeah, you don't need to do anything with it. That's the ego comes in and says, "All right, I got this feeling. Now what do I do with it? Do I get rid of it? Do I run away from it? Do I avoid it? Do I try to become a master from it? Do I?" Yeah,
yeah,
you just feel it. It's just feel. We so overcomplicate it. The ego's terrified of just feeling because it has no job then, right? So if you understand, ego doesn't feel, and it's all in this heady stuff that it wants a purpose and wants to live, right? So when you just are still and quiet and you feel,
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a lot to feel, and I appreciate that people are holding the space and just being present. And yeah,
wonderful.
thanks.
Thank you. Nadine, any final words? Glenn?
Oh, just thanks for everybody sharing. It was good to hear about, like, it sounds really transformative. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Glenn?
That's pretty much my sentiments. And I really appreciate being able to listen to everyone's story It's only my second call, so I don't know so much what the before looked like, but there's definitely some happy faces, and I think Neil's voice does sound beautiful. I feel kind of awkward, like in this setting, this level of intimacy. I think I have to get used to, and uh, like related to Heather wanting to clean up. I've felt that myself today, and Holly wanting to catch up. I feel like even though I'm the oldest person here, I feel like a seventh grader listening to the seniors talk about what the future holds. And yeah, I guess that's enough.
Danielle, what do you think I would say right now? It's what you always want me to. It's what you always want to say that I want to say.
It's only just the beginning.
Just the beginning, Glenn.
It's good news.
I think it's incredible that you're also being quite vulnerable, even though you've just been in this group for 2 calls, Glenn. That you actually were open to admitting, open to sharing how you felt. I think that's incredible, and there's a big things there.
Thank you.
I second that. That's really good.
I hope one day my face will be beaming like your guys.
You're not that far away. All right. I think that's it. Anybody have any final words?
Thank you so much for everything today.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your courage and vulnerability.
Thank you for going over the shadow work again. I've been on my last call with Andrew, I had like this face of a demon doll and like daggers, and so I just having to process all of that. And at first it was just really hard to write. Andrew wanted me to write 50 things that were evil. I felt so bad. At first I couldn't come up with anything, and then even when I was by myself, I just was at a loss. And finally today, I think 25 just came out and was like, okay, maybe I'm like popping through this. And
No,
but
maybe
it's
you really
so
are evil, Elaine.
well, it's just like
25 at
it's
once.
so
What is going
weird.
on?
Maybe I'm thinking of things like I'm gonna fill a truck full of nails and drive down the interstate and let them all. So
You
weird,
go,
but
girl.
All right.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna ask the same thing because people are gonna see this. This is a public call, so we just gotta clarify a few things.
okay.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm
so
sorry.
Elaine,
Yes.
just like Hannah, why did I give you that homework assignment? What's the
Um,
context?
okay, so in my cinesomatic movements, I had the look of like a really evil doll. And that's it felt really bad for me to feel that in my body, but there was the evidence right there of my look. And so what Andrew said is that I have suppressed, repressed all of that energy, and I'm avoiding it. And then it runs my life, and I don't want that. So the only way to not have that happen is that I go into the darkness, the shadow, and explore it and open it up. And so that's why he's having me write 50 evil thoughts, so that I can go into it and start opening up to it.
Because when I asked you on the call, said, just tell me a bad thought. And we spent like 15 minutes. I literally am like, all right, I'm gonna go get a drink and come back. Do you
I
have
felt that.
any bad thoughts? And you're like, I mean, it's like I could not clean up the milk. I mean, it was just like the most like benign thing ever. Like, you don't have any bad thoughts? And she's just sitting there, just completely unable to access it. I'm like, wait a minute. You just have no bad thoughts. She's like, well, if I have bad thoughts, I have bad thoughts about myself. Oh, okay. So, spiritual bypassing, right? It's this positive psychology stuff. I'm not allowed to have bad thoughts because I'm going to poison myself. I'm going to be evil to myself. And then it becomes neurotic. And then you completely lock yourself out of the shadow, which when you do that, you lock yourself out of all of those resources, all of your power, all of the safety. It sounds a little weird, but when you can get into a relationship with the shadow, you're actually more safe. Why? Because you know what it looks like. You're in relationship with it. You know how it works. You know, okay, that's how a predator, okay, okay, all right. Oh, this person wants to hurt somebody. Well, what does that feel like? Okay, well, I know what that feels like. I don't do that, but I know it inside myself and I can recognize that person feels like that. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to protect my people and say, you can't be in here. We had somebody in the workshop who didn't show up on the first day, and they started, sending me very nasty messages. And so I had to, I recognize it. I know what that person was doing, and so I had to say no, goodbye, and they've been blocked from our community here because they're not safe. But in order for me to know that, I had to know that in myself. Otherwise, oh, okay, I understand. Yes, this, okay, right? Oh, we all make mistakes, right? She's pulling this stuff. And I understand it, but it does not give you the right to be disrespectful, to try to shame me, to try to um, disrespect the entire group, right? So those things don't fly. But if I was running this, I have to be a nice person, I have to have compassion, it would have taken the whole group out, letting that person in, especially when the rules said explicitly, like 5 times, the boundaries. So this is a perfect example of the importance of getting into relationship with our shadow and how it actually leads to safety and more trust and more self-respect and all those sorts of things.
And you were also saying that's why my movements are so like wimpy and
Yeah.
and when in the call last or during the weekend I noticed when everybody moved to me that it was all kind of wimpy. Like just too soft and no real directness.
No,
So
yeah, no
I'm
power.
working on it.
Yeah, you are. But so can you guys see that it's not a causation, but there's a correlation to Elaine acting like she's never can have a bad thought ever in her life and not being able to in 15 minutes have one bad thought and her being absolutely wimpy. Do you see after everything I've been talking about the correlation with her shadow and her power? Nobody? Anybody?
I do.
Hands?
That's
Somebody? Okay. Yeah, it's a little more advanced. It's definitely not for beginners, right? This is not beginner work. So if it's a little weird to you, and it sounds a little strange or scary, that's okay. But eventually, that's the sort of level of stuff that we get to. We start actually looking at these things that we've been avoiding and running from and suppressing and repressing our entire lives. And then what we start to find is it's not what we think it is. There's all the self love, all the self respect, all of this power within it. But it requires tremendous courage to go into that cave. It requires tremendous courage to look and face the things that we've been avoiding our whole lives. That's why it works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. There will be a few weeks. I think I took it off the calendar. If not, I'm going to take it off. But I'm going to be going to Peru for a few weeks. So we'll have a little break. While we're on that break, I suggest you take a look at some of the past replays that you haven't seen before. Lots of value. Heather, you just want to speak real quickly on these replays?
Yes, I am 50% of the way through now of all the replays.
You've started from
And
the beginning,
I
right? You just
started,
joined
yeah,
like a month ago, right?
yeah, I started from the beginning. I'm doing them in order, and they are incredible. And there's some, like Andrew said, it's not linear. Like I'm watching these and they're relating to last week's call, and then it connects me over to the weekend work, and it's the same experience that I had in the weekend, where one person says something that leads somebody to say something that leads somebody else to have a breakthrough. And I'm having that same experience just going through the replays. And I'll add the somatic meditations as well that are available in the classroom section. It's the same thing. They then connect to the last replay. And I said in the my comment, like, if I did the cliche of, oh, the synchronicities of whatever, like nobody would be shocked, right? Like all these coincidences and synchronicities, even though I go from now being with you live to then 3 months ago, and then back to 2 weeks ago, and it's I don't know, I'm probably uh going all over the place because that's what it's like, but when it's occurring, it's so clear, right? Like everything, the messages are so clear, the breakthroughs are so clear. And I love watching these people, Danielle, Elaine, Hannah, who have been there since the very beginning. Holly, I hear your voice from the very beginning, and just like taking in all of the amazing changes that everyone's going through. I love it.
Great.
Can I just add?
Yep.
There's so much wisdom there, and I love watching the replays.
Yeah.
And you'll go back to the same one, and you'll find all this other stuff. I'm like, how did I miss this before? And Andrew just speaks with such wisdom. So there's so many golden nuggets there. And the meditations changed my life. That's what brought me here. The meditations. I found those first, and they're incredible. So use them. They're there for free.
Yeah, it's all free.
Yeah, so generous, Andrew. Like, I know I've said that to you before. You are incredibly generous.
Thank you. Please take me up on the generosity and better your lives. Yeah, that's what it's there for. And spread the word. It's not for everybody. Please be very discerning in who you invite, because as we start growing, there's going to be a lot of new people coming in. There's going to be a natural filtering process. People that are scared and put off by this and aren't ready are going to naturally fall off. But if you have anybody that you think would be a great fit, that would be a great contribution and could benefit from it, it's free. So just tell them about the book, tell them about the foundational teachings, about the replays, the meditations, the free school group. You'd love to meet them. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. See you next time.
Take care, everyone. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
You.